Hey guys, what's up? Roy here, and welcome back to Let's Play Super Smash Bros. Brawl. In the last episode, we cleared up boss battles with the Ice Climbers, and let me tell you something. We had a very hard boss battle with Ganon and a very easy one with the Ice Climbers, and apparently now we are going back to a hard boss battle because Dedede is incredibly difficult to use in boss battles. And it's kind of funny because when I looked up strategies about him, he actually has the most, or not most knockback wise, but damage wise, has the strongest throw in Smash Bros. At 16%. Unfortunately, throws are kind of useless, so that strategy got sent immediately out the window. So I had to try to find something that would not have a lot of animation frames, like his smash attack. And you'll notice that if you watch, his smash attack does not do that much. In fact, using this down kick right here, which is just me holding down and hitting 2, was doing about the same amount of damage, so yeah, it was actually pretty difficult to find something that would work for Dedede, because his smash attacks were not cutting it. I mean, that probably should have killed Rayquaza and it didn't. And his aerials were pretty slow too. And so eventually what I decided on doing was a combination of that down attack that you saw where I was just kicking him, while holding down and pressing 2, and also his back aerial is relatively fast and relatively strong. But Dedede was definitely not an easy character to beat boss battles on Intense with, let me tell you. He is definitely up there with Snake and Ganon. His special moves include, obviously, his up B recovery move, his side B where he will throw either a Waddle Dee, a Waddle Doo, or a Gordo. The Gordo is like the spike ball, the Waddle Dee is just that little standard guy you see right there. He'll run and jump, and whenever he hits something, they'll take moderate damage. The Waddle Doo looks the same, with a slightly different shade, and it's got an eye, and occasionally it will shoot out electricity for a little bit more damage. But really, in particular boss battles, the Gordo is what you're hoping for, because the Gordo does a very good amount of damage, and in regular competitive gameplay would have a lot of knockback as well, but of course, bosses have none of that, so that really won't matter now, will it? So yeah, I stuck with the down attack while he was on the ground. The up attack while he was on the ground was fairly decent as well. And then his back aerial. I really couldn't find much else to use for him. It was actually very hard. And I think it was also a combination of, since I couldn't find anything good, I was making stupid mistakes, which, if you practice boss battles enough on Intense mode, you should never be taking damage from PD Piranha, ever. He's only got 2 attacks. The only thing he can do is jump and land, and then swing one of the cages. That's all he can do. Unless you want to count the fact that he can roar and then do one of those 2 attacks over and over, but even then, I'd hardly call it an attack, it's just a pattern. So yeah, shouldn't be taking damage from him, but it took a while to nail something down, to be perfectly honest, even with the projectile advantage, that some characters don't have projectile and he does. The projectiles really didn't help. If I'd been getting Gordos every single time, I'm sure they probably would have, but that was not the case. Well, that Waddle Dee got sent flying. Yeah, that was the point where I started having to play very carefully because I was at such a high percentage. But I lost many, many times, and in particular, I think all except one loss was to Duon. He caused a lot of trouble for me. I think the only other loss I had was to Rayquaza whenever he was boss 9. Because, as you know, the bosses speed up in their patterns, and when Rayquaza is the 9th boss that you have to fight, he goes fast. Like, really, really fast. It's not pretty. Some of the heavyweight characters are going to be really hard to beat Rayquaza when he's moving that fast. But yeah, Dedede was definitely not one of the easier characters. Like, I hadn't beaten with it, boss battles on Intense with him either, like the Ice Climbers. But I'd never considered, I was like, yeah, it's probably not as bad as Ganon. He's a little bit faster, right? No, I think to be honest, after beating it, I think I had more trouble with Dedede than I did Ganon. Like, at least Ganon had a fast smash attack. Dedede really doesn't. And the more that I played as him, and thinking about how I played as him in Subspace, not just the recording version, but just in general, against the fight in Bowser in the story, I realized how much he relies on throws for damage and combos both, and the fact that you can't do that against the bosses kind of messes up a lot of his strategy, to be perfectly honest. And it did. It caused a lot of problems, and it took many tries. I think he was probably the second most... he had the second most attempts for the characters that I had to try. I know Pikachu and Samus were probably 1 and 2, but I'm not sure. I'm going to guess those are 1 and 2, and he was probably 3. If it wasn't him, it was Snake, but he's definitely in the top 5, that's for sure. He was incredibly hard to use, and right here I had to debate on whether to use a hard container or not, because I lost to Duon so many times up until this point. His forward smash actually did provide for a little bit of help, but even then I felt like his back, or not forward smash, forward aerial helped a lot, but I feel like his back aerial was just a teensy bit better. I did have to abuse, of course, this age-old trick against Gallium, which is reflecting the missiles back at him. And then I also got kind of lucky and got stuck on top of him right there, where he couldn't really do anything. So it worked out, but at the same time, it was just, this was definitely not a fun one to try to do. Like, the challenge was fun. The actual execution of it, though, was very messy. It's one of those things, it's like, it kind of sucked while I kept losing over and over, and then after I actually beat it, I'm like, well, that was fun, let's do it again. Of course, I didn't do it again, because that would be crazy, and I'm not going to do it again. I have it recorded now, and now I can save it forever in my records and never be forced to do it again. It's like when I finally get around to LPing Twilight Princess and I get the 100% done. I will have recorded it, it will be here on YouTube for as long as my channel stays up, and hopefully Twilight Princess never get taken down, but the point is, I would never do it again after. Yeah, Twilight Princess. We'll get to that game eventually. Not sure what project I'll do next, actually. But, and that's another thing to figure out for another day. Right now, in case you are wondering, because my throat will probably get dry in the next couple of audio recordings, I have somebody that is going to be staying at my house, which it doesn't matter for you guys the exact day, but to give you an idea of how long they'll be here from tonight, which is, today is Saturday, up until Wednesday, so Saturday night, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they leave, I'm going to assume Wednesday morning, but I'm pretty sure he probably wouldn't want to get interrupted by recordings, despite the fact he is a voice actor and would be completely used to it. I'd rather not be making a lot of problems, and I'd rather have stuff recorded in advance to actually hang out with him instead of, you know, having to work on this. So I'm doing all of the audios for this, and I start with the Ice Climbers. So I've got Ice Climbers, Dedede, and then Wolf, Lucario. Might do one more, not sure. Kind of up for debate whether I'll record Nessus and then put the audio in for it or not. I don't expect to use all of those by the time that, you know, like in the coming days, because usually as much as I'd like to upload a video today, YouTube's kind of having problems lately. But I'm definitely going to try to get one up today, Saturday, whatever you want to call it. By the time you see this, that video will have already been up, and it will be Ganondorf, assuming it was uploaded that day. But enough about silly things like that. We have Smash to play now, don't we? I actually did look up a little bit of the difference between Lucina and Marth, because I was like, well, are we having another clone? Because we know what happened the last time Marth had a clone, right? It was Roy, and he's no longer with us. Which, to be fair, Roy wasn't an exact clone. He did have differences. The movesets were the same, but the fact that his hitboxes were different, he was slower, you know, more susceptible to chain grabs, etc. And that was mainly why people didn't like him. I do like Roy. Not the best Fire Emblem Lord, but I do like him. But he was a clone in that instance, and I was wondering what the difference between Lucina and Marth would be for Smash 4. According to what I've seen, it's pretty much the same thing as Roy. Marth is going to do more damage with the tip of his sword, as he always did, from Melee to Brawl to now. And Lucina is going to be just kind of overall damage, like no matter where she hits him with the sword, the very tip of it, the base, the center, you know, wherever, it's going to be roughly the same amount of damage, so it's going to be kind of like Roy's in that aspect. Will we be seeing Lucina back for the Smash after this if they make another one? To be honest, probably not. I do like how they had Chrom in the trailer, and I was kind of expecting Chrom, and I was like, you know, on one hand we could have Chrom, but at the same time that would make the third blue-haired swordsman from Fire Emblem that we would have, and that's kind of a bit much, so was not expecting to see him, but it was cool that they put him in the trailer. And then we have Robin as well. Robin will be interesting to see how he works. I'm getting more excited for it, but in addition to that, there is actually another game that I pre-ordered. I have 3 pre-orders that are eventually going to be picked up sometime this year, 2 of which are the Smash games. I am getting both. The main reason, if you're asking why I'm getting both, is in case I go traveling. Obviously, the one for 3DS is going to be much more portable than the one for Wii U is. But the other game that I actually pre-ordered after watching several things for it, my friend was sending me a lot of messages about it because we're massive Zelda fans. He was the one that got me into Zelda. And, you know, we've been talking about it for a while. I finally did actually go and pre-order Hyrule Warriors. So, we will see how it is. I've never played Dynasty Warriors. I do like beat-em-up games, but I've never played one quite like this before. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But I think what hooked me on it was the fact that I saw one of Ganondorf's costumes, and my immediate thought was like, he looks exactly like Cervantes from Soul Calibur, the Soul Calibur series. Like a mix of Cervantes and Nightmare, basically. If you look it up, trust me, if you're a fan of Soul Calibur and you look it up, you'll see why I said that. But I was like, you know, I might as well give it a shot, and so I went ahead and pre-ordered it, so we'll see how it goes. But I think, in all honesty, it will probably be fun to play. I don't know for how long, but it probably will be fun to play. Regardless, Taboo is dead, thankfully. I remember after I finished this one, I just set my controller down. I was like, oh, thank you, to tell me we were recording that, because I don't want to do it again. Thankfully, though, it is done, and with King Dedede done, pretty much the rest of the row, except for the exception of Sonic, won't be that bad. So next time, we will continue on with Wolf. See you guys then.